Welcome. In this video, you're going to learn all the best ways to set up your next hybrid meeting. By the end of this video, you'll learn what it takes to run a world-class hybrid. You'll understand how to run a hybrid with as little as one computer or one device. You'll gain insight to the top tips on how to set up your next hybrid. By the end of this video, you'll know how to set up your next hybrid to engage even more of your attendees. And when you put them all together, I'll share a story where a PhD came at the end of this hybrid and said, this was the best hybrid ever. The first tip is to design your hybrid meeting. You really need to ask, what do you want? Or what do we want from this hybrid meeting? Once you clearly understand the goal, then you can start working on what technology can support you, whether or not you need one or more cameras, one or more microphones, maybe even possibly one or more computers. But first start with, what do you want? Next, you want to design your hybrid so that you can hear clearly no matter where you're attending from, whether that's in person inside the room or you're on virtual. You want to make sure your audio is loud enough. I've seen a lot of hybrids where the audio is low for the people on virtual, and all you see in the chat is, turn up the mic, can you please turn it up? And so make sure that everyone can be heard clearly. What you want to do is first test your in-person audience and that they're heard clearly in the room as well as virtual. Make sure and test that speaker so that they can be heard clearly both in the in-person room and in the virtual. Being able to hear is one of the most important aspects of your hybrid if you want your content to be heard loud and clear. The next tip is to consider your view. Think about what the camera sees. If you only have one computer, then try and put it in a position where it doesn't need to be moved and you can have a clear view of what's going on. For instance, if you have a single camera, probably put it in the middle of the stage and make sure it covers from the left and the right side of the stage so that the speaker can wander anywhere in that area and be seen clearly. If you have access to multiple cameras, think about where you want each of those cameras. I usually have 4 cameras in my setups. One is a wide shot, so you can clearly see the entire stage if anything happens. One is a tight shot, it's something zoomed in, so if the speaker stops moving, you can actually see something that's very representative of what you would see on Zoom of another speaker, even though they're in person. Other cameras I use are audience cameras. There are very few hybrids that point a camera back into the audience. But by doing that, you solve one of the biggest curiosities for your virtual audience, which is, what does this in-person room look like? And how is the audience receiving this presentation? So often we have a camera to the left and the right. It will actually show an angle of the speaker, and so you can see the audience, and then we shoot one in the other direction. If you have cameras that can pan, tilt, or zoom, or PTZ, then you can get other views of your hybrid that might be important that you hadn't planned. Things that might be like speakers or people asking questions that may be in the back of the room, or other things that may have happened that were unexpected. By having a camera angle all through the room, you can make sure you can get the best view of the hybrid no matter what's going on. If these tips are working for you, or if you got a best story about one of your hybrids, do me a favor, hit the comments and share your tip with me. I want to know what's working for you in your hybrids. The next tip to set up your next hybrid meeting is to get a team. A hybrid meeting is complex enough that it's rare that one person can do it all. So you need multiple people. You might need someone who is managing the stage. You, of course, need different speakers. You may need a producer who's handling all the equipment in the back of the room. You may need a virtual MC, somebody who is helping the virtual audience, and an in-person MC. These are people who are taking care of your audience in different ways at different times throughout your conference. This is one of the ways that you can make hybrid better. You know, for some of my friends who are on Zoom, it's like they like to say, don't Zoom alone. Well, what I like to say here is, don't hybrid alone. By working together as a team, you can make your hybrid even better. One of the best tips for your team too is to have a clear path of communication. Often we create a back channel, which just might be as simple as a text line, something on WhatsApp, some other type of messaging such as Teams, but it's a way that we can message and every single person who is on that organizing team can see the messages. This allows us to handle unexpected things, allows us to tell when we're ahead, maybe when we're behind, and how we're going to handle that so that we can end on time or that we can change the hybrid meeting on the fly to make sure it's serving the purposes for the attendees. Look and establish a back channel and make sure it works for everybody before you start to rely on it. The next thing you need to do to set up your next hybrid meeting is rehearse. After you set it all up, then test out all the different things that you need. What I like to say is that most hybrid meetings die in the transitions. So what you want to do is run a cue to cue review or rehearsal of the meeting. And what this means is that you go from one section to the next and looking at the transitions. While you may have a 50 to 60 minute speaker over here, you want to test their audio for 5 to 10 minutes, make sure that their content is clear. Instead of spending the whole 60 minutes, now jump to the next session and say, what's going to happen next? Quite often you'll find in those rehearsals how to smooth out those transitions, what new problems that you may have that you didn't think about, and how to fix them before any audience sees it. So make sure that you run rehearsals. If your rehearsal doesn't go well, then run another rehearsal. There are often times we've had a first rehearsal and a lot of the materials were not done yet, so we couldn't run a full rehearsal. I immediately said we need to run a second one when all the other pieces are back together. That was one of the ways that we were able to get a full rehearsal for this group, and in the end, it made sure that that hybrid ran smoothly. The final tip is to make sure your hybrid is inclusive. Think about all the different ways and different people that you can include. Of course, you want to think about the in-person audience and the virtual audience, but maybe you have some other needs. On some of our programs, we've had captions, and we'd have sign language interpreters. And you want to make sure you're inclusive to all the audience that you have. In one of the programs, the unfortunate part was that the captions were over the slides of the presenter, and the presenter had important information on the bottom of the slides. With that, it was not inclusive because we were missing a portion of this program because it was covered up. So one of the ways that you can fix that in the future is to think about what needs to be seen on the screen and how can you present it so it's not overlapping and not blocking each other. Those are some of the different ways that you can be inclusive in your hybrid meeting. When you put these all together, you can really set up a highly engaging hybrid meeting. In Seattle, we have a conference called Learnapalooza. And at Learnapalooza, this is the top conference for innovation and disruption in the learning and development field. When the organizer said he wanted to go hybrid, he was just thinking that the main room was going to go hybrid. He thought when I said 3 cameras, he thought that we're going to put 1 camera in each of the rooms. I said, let's put 3 cameras in each of the rooms. That was a total of 9 cameras for this particular program. We found different ways to make every breakout engaging by having different camera angles, by having the correct audio, by giving virtual the best view in the house, and making sure both in-person and virtual felt included. The reward for that is we had multiple attendees, some as far away as Sweden, and we had one attendee who was a PhD who said this is the best hybrid ever that she had attended. That's what a great designed hybrid can do for you. If you found this video helpful and you want to take your hybrid further, then I have a gift for you. Normally I have a masterclass that I charge $100 or more for, but I'm going to give this one to you for free. When you complete the 6 steps to engaging hybrid meetings masterclass, you're going to discover all the secrets I have for you to run better hybrids, more engaging hybrids, and get that key review that says this is the best hybrid ever. Make sure and click the link in the description and make sure that you get access to this masterclass now.